Ukraine today is joined by Mrs. Eka Zguladze, former Georgian Deputy Minister of Interior, who was invited by the new Ukrainian government to join its ranks. Mrs. Zguladze, good evening. Welcome to Ukraine today.
Thank you for being interested. It's very important.
Mrs. Zguladze, can you describe the scope of reforms which you plan to introduce into the Ukrainian Ministry of Interior?
We took a very difficult decision to reorganize the street police, especially the traffic police, which is the most corrupt face of the ministry, and introduce a modern patrol policing methodology and techniques. The patrol police is meant to change not only a uniform or a name of a police, but the whole concept, because right now what we have is still a Soviet model, which is quite peculiar because the country does not exist, the ideology has changed. So we want to create a new police that will have a purpose, and this purpose is to help the people, to serve the people, to prevent crime.
What will be the next stage of reforms within the Interior Ministry?
We're doing many things in parallel. It's reforming all the administrative services that ministry provides to people. These are different certificates and documents that ministry issues, starting with the weapon registration and ending with the car registration. This is again another very suspicious, let's say, black hole, full of illegal deals and corruption, of course, and unclarity, unfortunately. That is often the root of corruption, when procedures are not clear. In parallel also, we are reorganized dozens, unfortunately, of police special forces that now exist in Ukraine. We want to create something similar with police SWAT. This is also a process that will allow us to clean our system from the people who should not wear a gun, who should not be part of the police.
Georgia has been successful in combating corruption within its law enforcement agencies. How long did it take Georgia to get there, and how much time Ukraine will need?
Almost immediately after introducing patrol police, the systemic corruption disappeared. When your talk is supported by the example, my personal experience says that power of example is something that nobody can compete with. Ukraine lacks examples of success. Another element is that the patrol police reform activates all the key elements of fighting the corruption. Where the corruption starts? It starts from the recruitment. When a young man or a woman is paying money to get into the system or to find a job, then you cannot expect that that person will not be taking bribes. We offer the procedure very transparent, very structured, very objective of registering, going through the tests, 4 tests, which are all electronic and very much monitored, exactly to show that this process can be competitive.
What kind of challenges do you face right now at the stage of suggesting the reforms to the Ukrainian government?
In Georgia, I'm afraid the reforms were top-bottom driven, so it was coming from the top. In Ukraine, it is coming from the bottom. So it gives such an invisible but very important and very strong support to specific reforms that every single politician and every single government member feels it. So I think we have a really great opportunity to do amazing things in Ukraine, and we cannot afford to fail.
How would you describe the main problems of Ukrainian Ministry of Internal Affairs?
The key problem remains, and I've mentioned it already, many regulations, procedures and approaches, most of all, that are still used, and Ukraine is not an exception. Many post-Soviet countries still do it. They are Soviet. Changing this is complicating, it's hard. It seems like making it too loose and losing the control over the process, but little by little, on very small examples and on very concrete steps, we, the more reform-oriented team within the ministry, are able to communicate it quite effectively, and I think the motivated team is growing.
Just 2 months ago, you were invited to join Ukrainian government. How long do you plan to stay in Ukraine?
I have a son, and he remains to be my priority. Right now he's 3. These few years are relatively easy. When the moment will come when I have to decide what is best for him, hopefully by that time I will have some significant results in Ukraine to be able to say, I did something important, now I can leave. If not, then fight continues, but I'm optimistic.
Mrs. Zguladze, thank you for your time. This was Ukraine Today with Ukrainian First Deputy Interior Minister, Mrs. Eka Zguladze.